You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
By the way, if you look at them, this is not an imprecise piece of work. This is a real piece of jewelry. So you kind of get an idea of what Ed's capabilities are. He's not a jeweler, he's an artist. There's a difference.
So anyway, for the ladies, we fashioned, and you guys that were at the reunion remember this, we fashioned this crystal diamond.
Yeah, diamond.
Crystal glass panther for the ladies. And Kathleen, we'd like to have that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Reagan?
She's in the bathroom.
Oh,
She's in the bathroom.
Where
Okay,
is
we'll pass
She's not. She's not.
her. Come on.
She's going up.
Andrew?
Yes, you're stuck now. Just
Wear that proudly with your grandpa. Thank you. Thank you, bud. Reagan, there you are.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Henry. Is Henry back there? Hi, Henry. There you go.
Okay,
Thank you, sir. Aaron? Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Drop your mask.
Kimberly? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Last but not least, Mrs. Surratt.
Oh, my goodness. Really? Gee, oh, thank you so much.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Pick up your mask.
Oh, my man. Sir?
that's Aaron's.
Is it Aaron's?
Yeah.
No, that's mine.
Is that yours?
Yes.
Oh.
All right, Joe.
Sir,
A word, please.
a word from you?
Folks, this is something I want to share with all of you. As United States paratroopers, we're trained hard and efficient. And one of the things we learned to do incredibly well, incredibly violently, and effectively was the hasty ambush. You're about to see a hasty ambush. Colonel Nightingale, have you seen this before?
Yes.
You want to tell the folks in this room what this is about?
Many years ago, very soon after Elias had left the active 2505, he joined the California National Guard. And in part of that, he was alerted to deploy to Iraq. This was fairly early on. And I was trying to think of something that I could give him. There's a little Ventura County group of 2505 alumni, and we would all get together every once in a while and do lunch or dinner. And I wanted to give Elias something particularly special from our group in remembrance of his time in the battalion, and then something he could carry with him that was actually useful in Iraq. And I decided that this Swiss Army knife was probably the best thing I could give him, because the Army doesn't have anything like that, only the Swiss Army does. And it had most anything that he might need. And so I gave that to him to take over there. And it was also a symbol in his own mind. Y'all remember the story about my swagger stick and Major Hap and what that meant? Well, I was hoping that this knife would be the same vehicle for him. So he would carry it and he would understand what it meant in terms of carrying on standards and traditions that he had learned in the 2505 and taken on himself. So that is the history of the knife.
Thank you, sir. That was not quite perfect, and as you know, sir, the 2nd Battalion, 505th, perfect is good enough. So let me kind of finish this story up a little bit, folks. Yaka, how old were you, sir, when you bought this?
How old was I?
Buddy Bar, first lieutenant?
Oh, probably first lieutenant.
So what that tells us, folks, is that this piece of equipment, this item, followed Colonel Nightingale through every minute of his career. We know about the Dominican Republic, when he went with the 05, the horrendous battles in Vietnam, as many as 400 people were killed, the tragedy of Desert One, the liberation of Grenada, the freeing of an entire nation of people. This item not only tells Col Nightingale's story, it tells the story of the 82nd Airborne Division, the 3rd Brigade, and the 2nd Battalion of the 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment. And when my buddies found out that I was going to Iraq, and the funny story is I was in a drill sergeant, and they said, well, for you to go to this school, you have to extend for 6 months. I said, sure, I'll do it. 4 days later, they called and said, guess what? You qualify to go to Iraq. You're going to a year of combat duty. To the needs of the Army, right? Well, my buddies all got together, contacted Col Nightingale, and Col Nightingale met us there, and put the bill and everything, and he presented this to me. I carried it on my body armor everywhere I went in Iraq. The unit I was assigned to was called the 100th Battalion of the 442nd Infantry Regiment. Those of you who know your history will understand that the 100th Battalion of the 442nd, the Nisei, the Japanese Americans, were the most decorated unit for that time and duration of World War II in the history of the United States Army. This went with the 100th Battalion of the 442nd. I carried it with me always. It maintained a standard, sir, that I understood and I appreciated. This has been one of my most prized possessions in the last 16 years. I have cherished this. More than anything else, this is a symbol of freedom. This is a symbol of what people will do for each other. And in that sense, as far as what people will do for each other, Sergeant Harm, Sue, would you please come up here. There's a term we have in the Army, it's called selfless service. It's when you sacrifice for others. He's already been mentioned about some of the things that he's done. Well, some of us little girls in our knitting circle here, years back, we decided, how would we repay Sue and Ed for what they've done? The time, the effort. And we decided that, you know, we started to get a little fun together to surprise him, to ambush him, get the money to the boss, and she'd get it to him. And then we started talking about it, more and more talking about it. Sergeant Swindell, Sergeant Fromer, Sleepy, we all said, you know what? You do not repay an act of love with financial compensation. What Col Nightingale did here when he gave this to me, that wasn't my commanding officer, my home command. That was one man caring enough about another man. What these two people have done for the brigade and the battalion and the division. With your permission, sir?
You own it.
Wow. All right. Thank you, folks.
This is sort of the point that we talk about why we're here and what we're all about. I thought before I began, I would have Dave talk about the S4 shop. Now, in most combat units and in most history books, it's all about the rah-rah guys that run forward and assault the bridge and do all that kind of good stuff that get the glory. But the reason that our battalion did so well is because we had something called an S4 shop. And that 4 shop allowed me, with its qualities and its focus, to do all the things we did with you. I was absolutely certain that wherever I sent you, you would work and you would be supported and we would work to whatever objective we needed to do. The staff side, in many cases, never gets the proper support. I recognized very early on, thanks to a comment that Bill Garrison, who was then the 1505 commander, made, that tactics is for stories, but logistics is for professionals. And I was extremely blessed throughout my entire career in any meaningful unit to have Dave with me as the S4. We first met in Reforger, way out in the boonies, with a bag of Jetonis, and what we had between us was my Jeep and a Primus stove where we made cowboy coffee. I introduced him on how to make cowboy coffee, which, by the way, is an incredibly important task if you're in grunt infantry. He became my S4 in the 2505, and as you all know, you got superb support. He later followed me to 175, equally so, and later to the RTB. He migrated off to the reserves where he commanded Fort Dix, and most importantly in my mind maintained the spirit of Normandy for this division when the division was not interested. For the period between our 40th anniversary jump and about 1993, the presence of airborne troops in Normandy was due solely to David and his associations within USACAPOC in the Army Reserve. So not only do we owe him a great favor because of the work that he did in the 2505, most importantly what he imparted to his subordinates, but also for keeping the spirit alive in Normandy and showing the Norman population that there is an airborne entity in the United States, and we come back every year to commemorate what our forefathers had done on the 6th of June. And I'd just like Dave to kind of talk for a moment about that and understand for you all how important what he did and what his people did for our being and our capability as an organization. Dave?
In my 30 years in the Army, the 2 years in 2505 still to this day are my most meaningful. The place where I felt more comradeship, trust, love was with 2505. And I served in the Ranger Regiment, spent some time in SF and a lot of places in Korea. I had a lot of great units, but nothing compares to what we had as a team, to me, in my mind, that we had in 2505. And my time in 2505 was I was the S4. That was what I did when I was in 2505. And I feel very happy and confident about what the S4 shop did, but it wasn't me. It was like, you know, it was the NCOs. Sergeant J. Remember Sergeant Johnson? Tall African-American skinny guy? He was magic. I just say, hey, Sergeant J, we need X. And before the next morning, things would just show up. I mean, and things like somebody lost a pair of night vision goggles. Oh, shit. I'm signed for these, Sergeant J. What are we going to do? The next morning, there was a new set of night vision goggles. I mean, things like, you guys remember when we were in Grenada, after we've been there a month or so, uniforms getting kind of nasty, and all of a sudden a truck shows up with truckloads of brand new OG 107 uniforms.
And boots.
Okay? That was Sergeant J. And I said, Sergeant J, we need uniforms. What are we going to do? Well, he had his contacts and he knew what was coming in. And soon as the pallets of brand new uniforms landed down there at Salinas Airfield, he was down there trading stuff to one of the guys driving the forklift. So instead of that stuff going to the Corps headquarters and the MP units and all the other people that actually had time to order it because they weren't fighting, stuff goes in the back of a 2505 truck. And it shows up down there.
Truck, I might.
That was the other thing. We needed trucks. We needed transportation because, you know, we came down with nothing but all crammed in those 141s.
Yeah, that's right.
And I tell Curcio, we need trucks. Well, he could have made the game show Grand Theft Auto, I think. Next thing I know, he found a whole fleet of brand new Russian trucks. And they show up over here in the 2505, suddenly has trucks. And that's the way it was all the time. Sergeant C, our ammo NCO, he could make anything show up. Well, you guys, you know, you never wanted for anything. And it wasn't because of this guy or me. It was because of those great NCOs we had. And I really look back at that time and look at those guys. And remember Thanksgiving dinner? The food we had, the steel band, if you were happy to be up at the campus, at the True Blue campus, that was Sergeant Lee. And of all things, he was a leg, but he was our leg. He was our leg. And he did such an incredible job. And how he did it on the budget, I didn't want to know. You know, just like I didn't know how the night vision goggles showed up. I didn't want to know how all the uniforms showed up. But, you know, we had, one of the things Curcio did, and you guys probably never knew this, there was an ice cream plant downtown Grenada. We tried to get ice cream, but the power was out. Well, next thing you know, Curcio's hauling Army generators down there and hooking up Army generators to the damn ice cream plant so that you guys could have ice cream. You're the only ones on the island that have it. You know, that was the kind of creativity and competence and trust and leadership that those guys had that made me look like a hero and made him look like a hero, but we were just conducting the band. They were playing the music. They were making things happen. So